I got it! This is so cool!
Welcome to today's Explainer. Okay, let's just dive right into this. Today, we're taking a super fascinating look at the intersection of everyday convenience and federal health policy. We're going to take the brand new 2025 to 2030 federal dietary guidelines, which honestly represent a massive shift in how the government defines healthy eating. And we're going to audit a wildly popular grocery staple against them, Chobani's 20-gram high-protein Greek yogurt. So does it actually measure up as a health food, or is it just a processed product in disguise? Let's find out. We're starting off with a pretty dramatic statement, straight from those new guidelines. Federal health officials are literally declaring that we are in a, quote, health emergency, driven by our reliance on highly processed foods. This new mandate is a huge pivot. It's moving away from industrial food formulas and strictly pushing for a return to real, unprocessed food. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll cover the new real food guidelines, evaluate the Chobani high-protein line, see where Chobani hits the mark, look at processing, flavors, and stevia, dive into the gut microbiome impact, and finish up with the ultimate healthy swap. All right, part 1, the new real food guidelines. So the government's new mandate is crystal clear here. Prioritize nutrient-dense protein and try to consume about 3 servings of full-fat or low-fat dairy every single day. They're also putting a heavy emphasis on a diverse gut microbiome, specifically calling out the need for fermented foods. But here's the catch. There's a strict new warning added to the mix. We need to avoid highly processed foods and actively limit artificial flavors, petroleum-based dyes, and non-nutritive sweeteners. Now, what's the ultimate gold standard for real food? It's simply whole yogurt with fresh berries. It completely nourishes the body without any hidden processing, added sugars, or weird chemical additives. So keep this visual in mind, because this is our baseline today. Moving on to part 2. Evaluating Chobani high protein. If you strip away the slick marketing, the ingredient lists actually tell 2 totally different stories. The flavored cups, like vanilla or raspberry lemon, are packed with cultured milk, water, natural flavors, lactase, fruit pectin, stevia extract, gar gum, and locust bean gum. That's quite a mouthful, right? But a tub of plain, low-fat yogurt? Just 2 ingredients, cultured milk and lactase. That stark contrast is going to be absolutely crucial as we audit these products against the federal standards. Okay, part 3, where Chobani hits the mark. 6. That's the magic number here. Chobani successfully delivers 6 specific live and active cultures in their yogurt. We're talking about heavy hitters like S. thermophilus, L. bulgaricus, and bifidus. This directly hits the government's target for consuming fermented foods to support digestion and build up that diverse microbiome we mentioned earlier. So on a macro level, it absolutely checks the boxes. It provides the high-quality dairy the guidelines are asking for. It's an excellent source of protein, easily hitting that coveted 20-gram mark. It thoughtfully includes lactase for folks who are lactose intolerant. And of course, it delivers those crucial live gut cultures. Honestly, on the surface, it's a total nutritional powerhouse. But let's look a little deeper in part 4, processing, flavors, and stevia. First, let's define what we're actually looking at here. Non-nutritive sweeteners, or NNS, are additives like the stevia extract used in those flavor Chobani cups. They're used because they pack a really high sweetening capacity with virtually 0 calories. And because the human body doesn't really digest them, they just pass right into our intestine. And here is exactly where the conflict arises. Now, the CDC does note that 0-calorie sweeteners like stevia can be a helpful short-term tool to reduce calorie intake and manage blood sugar. But the new 2025 to 2030 federal guidelines take a much harder stance. They explicitly advise limiting foods that include additive flavors and non-nutritive sweeteners. Yet the Chobani flavored cups rely on exactly those things, quote, natural flavors and stevia extract, to achieve their sweet taste without added sugar. It's a pretty clear clash between processed food engineering and strict whole food standards. And you know, the processing doesn't just stop at sweeteners. Emulsifiers, specifically fruit pectin, guar gum, and locust bean gum, are also in the mix. These are processed food additives designed for basically one reason: to improve the texture and mouthfeel of the yogurt, just thickening it up. And this actually brings us to a major area of scientific concern regarding our health. Which leads perfectly into part 5, the gut microbiome impact. Let's dig into the research for a second. A really critical scientific review out of ETH Zurich examined food additives and the human gut. As you probably know, our gut contains trillions of microorganisms that are absolutely essential for our immune system and metabolism. Well, the research shows that those non-nutritive sweeteners, which pass undigested into our gut, are actually metabolized by our gut microbes. On top of that, emulsifiers, like those gums used for texture, can physically destabilize the interaction between our gut lining and our microbiome. And this destabilization is no small thing, guys. Research links it to promoting inflammation, colitis, and even metabolic syndrome. And the federal guidelines actually echo this exact science. They clearly state that highly processed foods can disrupt the microbiome's delicate balance. The ultimate irony here? Yogurt is a fermented food meant to support the gut, but the added emulsifiers and sweeteners in the flavored processed versions might actually be counteracting those exact benefits by disrupting that very same microbiome. All right, so what's the solution? Part 6, the ultimate healthy swap. The good news is we don't have to give up the high protein or the convenience. By simply swapping the pre-flavored single-serve cup for the plain 32-ounce tub, you instantly eliminate all the non-nutritive sweeteners, the natural flavors, and the emulsifiers. Just like that, you go straight from eating a processed food product back to eating a traditional 2-ingredient real food. And the healthy swap is incredibly simple. Step 1, you just start with that clean, plain yogurt. Step 2, add your own whole, fresh fruits. Chop up some strawberries, toast in a handful of blueberries, or dice a fresh mango. Step 3, sit back and enjoy. You now have a perfectly compliant, nutrient-dense meal that provides the sweetness you crave without any of the chemical additives. Using whole fruits provides abundant, totally natural sweetness. But more importantly, it gives you vital fiber, which is another absolutely crucial element the new guidelines are pushing for to feed those healthy gut microbes. You're literally replacing lab-made texturizers and zero-calorie extracts with real, vibrant, health-promoting food. The federal guidelines have drawn a very clear line in the sand between real nourishment and processed convenience. So the next time you navigate the dairy aisle looking for that 20-gram protein hit, you really have to ask yourself, are you buying real food or are you just buying a processed science experiment disguised as health? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer today. Stay curious and keep learning.